All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our session today on the Go Anywhere battery-powered asset tracker. My name is Brian McIntosh. We're just coming to the top of the hour. We're going to give everybody another minute or so to get logged in. But I'm going to maybe run through a couple of quick intro slides while people are logging in. So again, welcome. We will be recording today's session. Right, let's jump into it. All right. So today's presentation, for those who've been to some of our webinars before, we usually try to keep our sessions to about 30 to 40 minutes of sort of talk time, and that'll include a live demonstration of the Go Anywhere. And we'll probably spend 30 to 40 minutes going through the material in the slides, going through the bit of the demonstration, and then we're going to leave time at the end for questions. We try to leave as much time for questions as we can. Again, we're going to go through Go Anywhere, talk about some other products that we're supporting here at MBI, and then we'll take some questions. But before we get into all of the exciting pieces, just a couple of quick housekeeping items. First of all, I want to mention to everybody to look at the at your toolbar within Zoom for the Q&A section. There should be a button where you can enter questions. Please encourage everybody to ask questions throughout the session. Anything we don't answer during the session live, we will be following up with an email to everybody with all the answers for all the questions. So please do that throughout the session. Again, we will get to all of those. We will have a couple of polls that we're going to be covering throughout the session, so look for those. We will get to those shortly. For those who haven't been to one of these before, we will be giving away one of these. We'll be giving away 10 Yeti tumblers that look just like this, and we'll do those. We'll do the draw at the end of the session. For everybody who registered for today's session, we will be sending out a copy of today's presentation, and this recording, once it's all ready, we will publish it on our YouTube page, so you'll be able to check us out there as well. All right, I think we're ready to get into it. All right, so before we jump right into the meat of today's topic, I want to talk a little bit about, give a little bit of a update on MBI and a little bit about Geotab. And I did want to recognize, looking through the list of attendees, we have a lot of existing clients on the call today. So thank you for joining us. Many of you have been on many of our webinars before, so good to have you back. Thank you for your support over the years. We really appreciate working with you. For those who may not know who MBI is, we've been around since 2005. So I was chatting with the team today. We're going to celebrate our 20th anniversary next year, which is a pretty exciting milestone for us. We've been working with clients with Geotab for over or almost 20 years now, and we're really proud of our client retention rate. We've been operating at about 95% client retention rate for the last 8 years running, so we're very proud of our record there. Our approach is a little different than what you may see with other resellers. We take a very dedicated and hands-on approach. And one of the main things that we do is we assign a customer success manager to every single one of our clients, regardless of size. And those folks, along with all of the other team members here at MBI, spend a lot of time on consulting and guiding and really making sure that all of our clients are getting the most out of their Geotab investment. Very proud to operate in both English and French, we support clients all across Canada and into the US. We've been recognized as one of Geotab's top global partners over the years, so we're always happy to work with Geotab, and I know we have some Geotab folks on the call today as well, so thanks for joining us. And I'm very proud of the little public sector partner logo you may see in the bottom part of the slide. MBI was the first reseller, I'm going to say in the world, because I believe we were the first in the world to receive that certification. So we're pretty proud of that. We spent a lot of time working on that certification and helping and supporting our variety of government clients. And a little bit about our partner, Geotab. Many of you already know Geotab and been using the product for a long time. But for those who may not know as much about Geotab, been recognized in the industry as one of the top telematics provider in North America for the last 3 years. One of the reasons that we really like working with Geotab is its flexibility and extendability. Product gives you a lot of different options, and largely that's what we're going to be talking about today: how to leverage and extend your use of the Geotab product. And one of the key things that clients tell us, and one of the things that is often a big win for our clients, is how secure the product is. Geotab was one of the first to obtain FIP certification, and it really just speaks to how secure the environment is on the Geotab side. All right, so let's get into today's topic and talk a little bit about asset trackers. I'm going to start with a bit of a slide and ask you maybe take a look at some of the different images on the screen. I've been working with clients for quite a few years here at MBI, and certainly how you track and manage both powered and non-powered assets is probably a conversation I've had with every single client that I've ever worked with while I've been here at MBI. And some of the questions you see on the screen may be questions that you've asked yourself. And one of the things that is really interesting about what we're going to be talking about today is you may not have considered using Geotab to keep track on those assets, both powered and non-powered, that you may have within your environment. And pretty much every single client on the call today has both powered and non-powered assets that they need to manage and need to deal with the cost. Since we've been here, since I've been here with MBI, and we've been looking at asset trackers, we have put them on a variety of both powered and non-powered assets. Many of the images you see on the screen are equipment that we have deployed asset trackers. So it's a pretty wide list of things that you could be tracking, and that's what we really want to talk about today: is how we leverage what you're already doing with the equipment that you have in your environment. All right, let's jump into our first poll. I'm going to ask Julie to jump in and introduce the poll for us.
All right, so our first poll to get things started is whether or not you have non-powered assets to track.
All right, so Julie,
so we'll just give that a moment.
Answers flying in fast and furious.
So the options are yes, nope, I have no idea, or not applicable. So the majority are saying yes, that they do have non-powered assets or pieces of machinery to manage.
Awesome. Okay. Well,
okay,
you're in the right place.
Yeah, almost 75% of you have non-powered assets or pieces of machinery to manage. All right, great. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, now that we know that a big chunk of the audience on today's call have to manage both powered and non-powered assets, let's take a look at some of the considerations that may be important to you, and how Geotab may be able to help you. Obviously, one of the most common things that we need to deal with is we need to know where our assets are. And for those who've used Geotab, you're very familiar with the My Geotab software. And really what we want to talk about today is how you use that existing software, all of the power of Geotab that you already know, to track those assets. If you know where your assets are, that is really the first and most important part in managing your assets. And then what we want to talk about today is how you can take the power of Geotab and all of the things you already know today and extend that across your non-powered assets as well. And you may have noticed even on the image that I had, we included pictures and images of, could be powered equipment, could be things like there was a bulldozer, there was a four-wheeler. Many clients do connect Go devices to that kind of equipment, but there may be lots of reasons why you may not need to connect a Go device, but would be just as happy to use an asset tracker to take a look at some of that equipment. So let's jump in and take a look at the Go Anywhere in particular. So the Geotab Go Anywhere. I just want to make sure I show this properly. this is the Go Anywhere. This is a real life Go Anywhere. This is the one that I'm going to be doing a demo on in a short bit of time. So I know one of the pre-questions that came in was how big it is. We do have the actual dimensions listed out on a slide here in a few minutes, but you can see it's about 4 inches by 3 inches. So relatively small, relatively compact, and makes for a pretty easy install. This was first introduced in 2023 at Geotab Connect. Geotab first mentioned they were going to be rolling out the Go Anywhere. As far as here in Canada, it's been available for quite a few months, but as we generally do with all of our new technology that we like to support, we basically want to start with a field trial. So we ordered some equipment and we engaged a number of our partners, or a number of our customers, I should say. So, and I think some of them may be on the call today. So thank you for helping us. And we actually got some of this equipment out into the field, installed on some real life equipment, and basically monitored it for the past number of months to see how it was working. So generally, anytime that we roll anything out, we want to make sure that we see how it works directly inside Geotab. All right, so let me show you a couple of feature slides, and then I'm going to jump into the demo because I really want to make sure that we spend some time showing you what it looks like in real life. The Go Anywhere has a lot of great features. A lot of them are listed out here, and you can see the actual dimensions. It's 4.3 inches by 2.8 inches wide. And one of the other pre-questions we had was what kind of batteries. It's 3 AA lithium iron disulfide batteries. Those are non-removable. Somebody was asking about specifically what type of batteries were in there. But again, the install is relatively simple. Most clients are attaching. It comes with some attached with self-tapping screws, or it comes with some magnets. There's a spot on the bottom where you can connect and put up to 3 magnets, very high strength magnets. So very easy to install the product, which does allow you to actually install it both in an open way, or if you need to install it in a covert, kind of out of the way. Also gives you some options there as well. So let me take you through one other quick slide before we jump into the demo, because I think this is a really important piece that we uncovered during the pilot and during their testing, is sort of the different reporting modes with the Go Anywhere. So essentially, the Go Anywhere will report basically once to 3 times per day, depending on whether or not the Go Anywhere has detected a trip. So you can see if the device is in sleep mode, it will report once every 72 hours. And that's really for battery conservation reasons. So I really will help extend the life of the Go Anywhere. Once a Go Anywhere has detected a trip, it will basically start tracking that every 15 minutes. But all of that trip information will be reported once to up to 3 times per day. The expected battery life of the Go Anywhere is about 10 years with its standard default settings. If you increase the reporting frequency, it obviously will have an impact on the battery life. And we'll see that your battery life will obviously be a little bit less if you do increase the reporting frequency. But you're going to basically see it report its activity generally 1 to 3 times per day, depending on how you have the settings enabled. All right, so at this point, what I want to do is I want to actually jump right over into a live demo of the Go Anywhere, and I want to show the Go Anywhere that I have here. I've actually had this device in my vehicle for about 5 or 6 months now. Just want to check you guys can see my screen good. Okay, just want to make sure everybody can see. So for those who are familiar with the My Geotab platform, everything you're about to see will look extremely familiar to you. And that's really one of the things we wanted to emphasize today, that the use of the Go Anywhere and using your existing My Geotab database is very familiar to you. So let me show you what it looks like from an assets perspective. So when you actually have a Go Anywhere and you get to install it, you're going to add it into your database just like you would any other asset. So you can see that I've already got an asset listed here called the Go Anywhere demo. And I just want to show you a couple of things here very briefly. So once you've added it, it looks just like any other asset that you would add within My Geotab. You will assign it to a group, you'll assign it to an asset type, you can assign it to rules, you can leverage it with zones in all the same way that all of the other tools and assets within the system. A couple of things I just want to talk about briefly. I'm going to jump over to the settings. Once you have a Go Anywhere installed, and you will see that you have your additional Go Anywhere settings that are listed here. And you can see that by default, the sync frequency is listed as either once, twice, or 3 times per day. And I've got it currently set at 3 times per day, which means I will get the location, and all the trips that happened will come in basically once every 8 hours. Finally, you will see the asset recovery mode that's listed below. If that's turned on, what the asset recovery mode does is it will actually record all your trips and related information in 5-minute increments, as opposed to the default 15-minute increments that the device normally comes with. So if you want to have an asset recovery mode on and 3-time day sync, you'll get your data every 3 times. You get 3 times a day, and then you'll get it in 5-minute increments. So that just gives you a sense for how often the device will report. All right, let me jump back to the main asset page. A couple other things I did want to mention, and this will be relevant to the demo as we go through. You'll see that from an asset type, I've got this device listed as equipment. And if you're not familiar with asset types, please reach out to your customer success manager. We can show you how to set up different asset types. But I basically configured that my Go Anywhere is part of my asset type equipment. And then because I have it defined as such, I can then use that later in rules to do some interesting exceptional reporting. One other thing that I will mention is you'll notice down here that we do get a total distance and you do get a total runtime. So as the Go Anywhere is recording data, again, depending on your frequency of reporting data, it will collect trips distance, and it will collect runtime as far as how many operational hours and minutes it has been recording activity. Now, it's important to note that the total distance that's reported here versus, say, a Go device is going to be the level of accuracy of those two things are very different. And we've had some of the clients during the field tests, we certainly noticed and we expected that the distance reported here is not going to be as accurate as you see with a Go device. And then we'll talk about why that's important to know and why that's important for consideration a little bit later. Now that I've got my device already installed, I'm going to look at where it is on the map. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit just so you can see. So currently the Go device is reporting just outside of the MBI office. When the Go device reported this morning, I was actually on my way to the office. So it reported just before I finished my trip, which is why it shows just outside of the office. However, once it's been set up, I can then go and look at trips history, and I can use all of the same features that we would expect to see with any asset with inside of My Geotab. So as I pull up, I'll show the trips history, the most recent trip history, and you can see that it will show me kind of where I was traveling and where I got to. In a very similar way, I can go back and I can look at trips history from previous periods. And I actually just go back to change. Actually, let me go over to this way here, and I'll do it this way. I actually took the Go Anywhere on a family trip to Ontario. So as I drove from Halifax up to Ontario, we actually took the device, and we can actually go ahead and show all the trips if I want. All right, and I can actually see all those trips in much the same way as I would as really any device and anything that we would see anywhere within My Geotab. So again, once the device has been active and it's tracking it, you'll even notice that the trips history will. Let me just zoom in a little bit on a couple of trips here, just to show you a couple of things. You'll notice that the Go Anywhere and basically will do a really good job of trying to follow it'll do a snap to road in a very similar way that what we see. Now, again, because of its reporting frequency, it will report a little bit differently. So occasionally you will see some straight lines, as you see kind of here. We had a bit of looks like the Go Anywhere was flying through the air. Again, the system does a really, really good job of adjusting that trips history back to the roads. But you will see some instances where the data won't necessarily report in quite the same way as you may see with the Go device. All right. And one other thing I wanted to show briefly, as I mentioned earlier, once we have the device set up and we have an asset created, we can actually start leveraging all the power of Geotab. And I'll show you just a quick exception, a rule that I set up. So one of the things that clients often have told me that they want to know with assets is when assets are leaving a particular location. Maybe it's a job site, maybe it's a central warehouse, maybe it's a central dispatching facility, and they want to know, when did an asset leave or when did an asset come back? So I basically I have a zone set up around our office, and I can go ahead and I'll show you. I'm going to say last month for the Go Anywhere, and I created a rule called asset moved out of restricted zone. Just a rule I made up just for the purposes of our demo today. And it showed me basically every time that the asset left this particular zone, which was in fact our work zone. So for those of you familiar with exception reporting in my Geotab today, this fits in very well with all of your other reporting and dashboarding, where I can get a good sense of how often are those assets entering a particular zone, leaving a particular zone, or other relevant rules that may be important to you. Entering and leaving a zone is one of the most common questions that I've had over the years. All right, I'm just going to pause here and check the questions if there's anything that came up in the questions I should address.
I tried to answer a couple.
All right, so just looking at the questions before I jump out of the demo, and I'll come back to these as well. On the map, can we track in real time was one of the questions. So with the Go Anywhere, as I mentioned, the Go Anywhere will report once every well, it will report as often as you have your reporting frequency set. So it could be once a day up to 3 times per day. So what you're going to see on the map, when I go look at the map in real time, I'm going to see where the Go device or the Go Anywhere was when it last reported. So again, between 1 and 3 times per day. One of the other questions asked about how is there a reporting frequency that's better than the other two? I think that really depends entirely on your business and how often you need to track a particular kind of asset. And that could change from group of assets to group of assets. For assets that move very frequently, you may want to increase the frequency, or for high value assets, you may want to increase the frequency. So a lot of that will depend on the nature of your business and what you want to see. All right, and I'll look one of the good. Can the asset recovery mode be turned on after the fact, like when an asset is taken from the restricted zone? The short answer is yes. You can go in and edit an asset whenever you want. What'll happen is that'll communicate up to the Go Anywhere that you've changed its settings, and then the next time it reports, it'll start reporting at that newer, higher frequency. All right, just gonna jump back, and I'll come back to questions here at the end. So don't worry, we'll have more time for questions. Let me just jump back to our slide deck. All right, let me jump into. So I think some of those questions highlighted the next section of the presentation very well. So thank you for your questions, because I think it sets up the next part. again, one of the reasons why we really like Geotab and one of the reasons why MBI has been working with the Geotab platform as long as we have is its expandability and flexibility. And with the Go Anywhere, we now have some additional options for clients who are interested in asset tracking. And so we're going to talk about a couple of different asset trackers in addition to the Go Anywhere, just to give you a sense that it's really about what is your business need, what do you need to track with those particular assets. And really what we want to spend time when we're working with our clients who really want to understand what are your needs in particular, and how do we select an asset tracker that will be best match your needs. So some of the questions that we'd ask are on the slide here today, and sort of related to some of the questions that just came in. How often do you need to look at this asset? How critical is it that you have information about the distance traveled of that asset? Do you need to measure the hours used of the asset? How accurate do those hours need to be? So those are some of the questions that some of the clients have asked us, and this allows us to help select a couple of different options for you. So I do have a few other asset trackers here that I'll show you here in a second. But you'll see all of the asset trackers that you see on the screen, and we basically have supported and field tested all the equipment on the slide here. So from the Go Anywhere to the Flex Solar Asset Tracker. So this is the Flex Solar Asset Tracker, just to give you a sense for the size. I'll put that next to my shirt. So that's the Flex. This is a solar asset tracker. Does some similar things to the Go Anywhere. We'll talk about that in a second. And there's some other products two products from the Philips Connect world that we have supported. One's called the SolarNet. Again, a solar asset tracker, just give you a sense for there's the Go Anywhere side by side. And then lastly, we've also had the StealthNet in play for some clients. And each one of these asset trackers brings some different value and can be used in a slightly different way. And as you see, it's really about understanding what are those questions that you need to know, what are the questions you need to be able to answer for the business users inside your organization. How often are you tracking something? Does that asset need to be hidden? Do we need to are we worried about power management on those assets? So these are all questions that will certainly come up. So we put together a quick slide, and again, we'll share this presentation to everybody on today's call, so you don't have to worry about writing everything down. But we wanted to show that there's really different options for clients, and we really want to make sure that we're matching the asset tracker to the kind of asset that you have and what your needs are. So for example, the Go Anywhere has been a great addition to our portfolio because it's small, it's battery powered, really easy to install, really easy to deploy inside of my Geotab, and very familiar with all of the other features there. For the Flex and the SolarNet product that you see there, again, once these products are added inside of Geotab, they will show up as assets inside of my Geotab, just like the Go Anywhere. But these are now solar asset trackers. So we've now eliminated the need for replacing batteries or replacing a non-battery power asset down the road. And these can be particularly useful for clients who need much more reporting frequency. Both the Flex and the SolarNet products will report at a different level based on their battery life, and basically provide a sort of what I would call a higher level of accuracy on both the operating time and the distance traveled. So we see these asset trackers used a lot, in particular with clients who have trailers and want to see regular information on their trailers, where their trailers, how often are they being used, operational time, so on and so forth. And lastly, the StealthNet is a product that we've seen used by clients. This is really aimed particularly at trailer users, and it's meant to be installed, as you can imagine, up underneath the trailer, hence the stealth part of the name. And it again it's battery powered. So once it's connected to power with your trailer, it is regularly charging your battery. When the trailer is disconnected from power, that battery will continue to report, and can report for months and months and months. As the battery power, and this is true of the Flex and both SolarNet products, as the battery power goes down, the devices actually report a little bit less frequently to ensure that the battery is being maintained. So even when not connected to power, the solar net, the stealth net, will continue to provide reporting flexibility for you. So again, you do have some options, depending on what you are trying to track. All right, let's jump into another poll, Julie. All right.
Okay, so this one is asking, in your line of business, what pieces of equipment or machinery would you like to manage using asset trackers? So we're just looking for a list. Give you a few moments for that, so you can enter any kind of non-powered assets that you have in your line of business that would be good to track location.
So while the answers come in, I often keep track of what is the most unusual asset that we track so far. We've had them on everything from military equipment, snowmobiles, but I think the strangest one, the most unusual one, is a ferry boat. One of our clients has it installed on a boat that crosses river crossing, and they wanted to track how many river crossings were done in a day. And it was a great application for the product. Didn't need to worry about connecting it to power. They weren't worried about it being stolen, so it was a great application. I'd love to hear and put an asset tracker on an even more unusual device.
All right, we'll just give 5 more seconds. Okay, we'll end the poll there. Okay, thank you. And I'll just share the results here. So we have a list here. We've got like cars, order pickers, scissor lifts, office trailers, generators, flatbed trailer, toolable generators, four-wheelers. Yeah, so all kinds of things. All right, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Julie. All right, gonna cover a couple other quick things, and then we're gonna circle back, and we're gonna have lots of time for questions. So we should be in a great spot to get through all the questions today. Again, a little bit about MBI, and I'll do a little bit of an MBI commercial here before we wrap up today, because these are questions that we hear a lot from clients, and you know, again, we've talked about the power and extendability of the Geotab platform. It is, again, one of the most recognized telematics products in the globe, and out of the box, you can do a lot with the product. It's incredibly impressive. But one of the interesting things is clients have actually reached out to us over the years and asked us, what else can they do with Geotab? Can they extend Geotab beyond the features and functions that you see just inside of my Geotab? And the answer is yes. And we've been engaged by clients in Canada and the US to do lots of interesting projects. And so all the projects that you see, all the things listed on the slide, are projects that we've been involved in one form or another. And basically, helping a client learn what they need, how to take their Geotab data, combine it potentially with other data that they have inside of their own organization, or present it in a different way, or provide it in a different application format. So if you're trying to use and leverage your Geotab data, and specifically use it with other data inside your organization to make good business decisions, you know, reach out and let's chat, because we may be able to help you extend your use of Geotab and connect it with other data within inside your organization, to really help you kind of solve those business challenges. All right. And then one other interesting item I wanted to share, that we help clients, even if they are not necessarily being supported directly by MBI. We've run into clients who have needs and are using Geotab, want to keep the Geotab platform, but may not necessarily be getting all of the support that they need. and we can help those clients as well. From again, with our dedicated customer success team, we can help provide that guidance and consulting that a lot of clients are looking for, helping them solve the problems, use Geotab and extend it into their organization. So again, if you're a Geotab client and may need additional assistance, don't hesitate to reach out. We would love to chat. And finally, because February is right around the corner, it would seem, for those of you who aren't familiar with Geotab Connect, is Geotab's partner event that happens every year. It's in February. This year, it's in Orlando at the Swan and Dolphin Resort, which I hear is spectacular. This event's been going on for a number of years. We had a number of our clients join us last year at the event in Las Vegas. Thank you. I think I see some of them on the call today. It was a great event. Geotab invested a significant amount of resources and brought a lot of events and people and content to the group. It's really 3 days of learning about Geotab and having an opportunity to engage with Geotab experts and other marketplace partners on how to use and extend and leverage the product. For most clients, registration is free this year. There is a registration fee for public sector clients, but if you're not in the public sector, registration is free. And we're really excited that we are going to be hosting an event as well on the evening of February 26th. So if you haven't registered, you can follow the link below, but geotabconnect.com/event. Find out all kinds of information about Geotab Connect. And you can register there as well. We'd love to see you there. We're going to have a contingent of MBIers there, and love to see you there. All right. That sort of brings us to the end of the slide portion and the demo portion of today's session, but we do have a bunch of questions. So thank you again for your questions. So I want to jump back and try to answer a few of those questions that I may have missed earlier. Yeah, so let me jump into that. So one of the questions, how does the Go Anywhere detect a trip? Great question. I'm not sure if I have the most technical answer, and I can certainly follow up with some more technical answers later. But there is a motion, accelerometer type technology inside the Go Anywhere that is detecting motion. But we'll get you a more technical answer on how it's actually detecting those trips. Somebody asked, how does the Go Anywhere compare to the Beware beacons? So Beware, I know a little bit about the Beware product. So I know Beware has both Bluetooth beacons as well as other products. If you meant the Bluetooth beacons, obviously this is a much different product because it's connecting through the cellular network and it's reporting regardless. If you're comparing it Beware to the Go Anywhere, I'd say you may want to do a bit of a side-by-side comparison. Again, I don't know the Beware product as well as I do the Go Anywhere and the other products we listed here today. But I can certainly say we've been impressed with what the Go Anywhere, the Flex and Philips Connect products can do. Does the Go Anywhere show battery life? Oh, sorry, I'm having reports that people may not be able to hear me. Second here. I'm going to switch headsets. 1 second, everybody. All right, just doing a quick battery check. Okay. Where does the Go Anywhere have a show battery life? The short answer is it does not. So one of the things that we've been talking with the Geotab team is whether or not there is going to be an engine measurement or other methodology to show where we are on the battery life. But at the moment, there isn't an ability to track the battery life on the Go Anywhere. So I think that answers a couple of questions. Answers Steve's question. Thank you, Steve. somebody asked, can you wake it up remotely, or do you have to wait for the asset to move? The way that the Go Anywhere reports is basically it will report between 1 and 3 times per day. And it'll report basically when those up to 3 times a day happen, everything that happened between the last time it reported. There is no button to press to have it report more frequently than that. It will report simply between 1 and 3 times, depending on your settings. All right. Somebody says for trailer tracking, we need to monitor them constantly and usually know their live location at times. Would they go anywhere would be best for this use? Great question. I would two things I would say. One, I would probably recommend testing something out for clients who need to know kind of much more regular location data. I think a product like the Philips Connect or the Flex would probably be a slightly better fit that particular instance, because it is going to give a much more regular reporting frequency. And we can share some information with everybody on the call today about the Flex and the Philips Connect devices and how often they do report. But it'll be much more frequently, within minutes, as opposed to up to once every 3 days, or once at 3 times per day. Assuming the Go asset trackers can also be managed within my Geotab. Yes. So all of the asset trackers we talked about today, whether it's the Flex, Philips Connect, or the Go Anywhere, all of them can be managed directly within my Geotab. Once they're added, they show up as a serial number inside of my Geotab. You can create it, rename it as an asset, put it in a group, and do all the other reporting related items that you would do with an asset. So yes, 100%. Can you pull real-time location? I think we sort of already addressed that. Again, the Flex and Philips Connect devices are going to give you probably more real-time location. So if having really, really real-time information and location is important to you, then those products may be a slightly better fit than the Go Anywhere. Can we use the Geotab Flex for container chassis as it reports every 5 minutes? Yeah, I would think so. And we have clients who've used the Flex and Philips Connect on containers. I've seen them on garbage bins, on trailers, and it will give you a much a regular report, especially when those detect movement. All right. Can the unit alert you if a trailer moves? If so, can you then go live tracking as part of the recovery? So I think yes and no. It depends on which asset tracker that you're using. Certainly with any of the asset trackers we talked about today, you can develop rules that will detect and report when it tracks movement. But again, with the Go Anywhere, it's only going to report movement. It's only going to report that up to 3 times per day. So if you want to know the movement and be alerted to that movement within that reporting period, then absolutely the Go Anywhere will absolutely do what you need to do. And the Flex and the Philips Connect will do a similar thing. They'll just report more frequently on movement than what you would see reported with the Go Anywhere. All right. So it says, can Geotab info be integrated into QuickBooks Online? The short answer is I don't know, but the likely answer is yes. So Geotab has a completely open SDK, their software development kit, which does allow users to take data directly from Geotab and pull it and use it in other systems. And I've seen it used in financial systems, asset management systems, and other systems. So my guess would be yes, but I would say reach out and we can talk a little about what data you might need and how to get that into QuickBooks for you. Another question, how much would each Go unit cost per unit and per month? Yeah, so the price for a Go Anywhere, I don't have the exact prices in front of me, but the Go Anywhere's, the hardware sales are around, I think, about $175. And the other equipment are a little bit more expensive. They're up in the 350 plus range. And the monthly, I'd say reach out to your business development manager. We can talk about the monthly fees, because that may be combined with other things connected to your account. But happy to talk to you about pricing. All right, somebody else asked about pricing, so I think I addressed that. Does the Go Anywhere report even if there is no cellular service? Great question. The short answer is yes. So if the Go Anywhere still has power and it's still and it's outside of a cellular network, it will continue to store trip data and trip information. And then once it gets back inside the cellular network, the next time it reports, it'll report back on the trips that happened while it was outside the cellular network in a very similar way that the Go devices do today. So definitely have some options there. Yeah, somebody asked, what happens if the battery dies? Will it show on the map that is no longer connected? Great question. I actually have not seen this happen, but my understanding is if the batteries are dead, it will be reporting as offline, and we wouldn't be able to connect or read information from it. Is what we would expect to see. Somebody asked about their retailer trailers, looking at this device for recovery options. Would this be a suitable device? I think any of the asset trackers we talked about today may be suitable for that application. I think the question just you'd really want to understand is how frequent do you want that data? And then there's also a little bit of question is, do you want the asset to be the asset tracker to be visible or maybe a little bit more stealth? With both the Go Anywhere, it's relatively small and rugged. It can be installed in a fairly discrete location. Same with the Stealth Net. It can be installed on a trailer out of the way so that that would be thieves may not see it. All right, a couple of other questions here. Do you have data for current users on savings, loss preventions, productivity? Great question. I'm going to have to dig into that. I don't know if I have that information in front of me, but we can certainly check into that and see what I certainly have anecdotal stories of clients who told me that what the cost is of a lost trailer or a trailer that has a bulldozer sitting on top of it, how much it's cost them. Or another client who reported, losing 1 to 6 generators per year at their organization. So certainly a lot of anecdotal stories of clients and what they've told me. But I'm not sure if I necessarily have a success story related to that, but that makes a great suggestion for a new success story for us. All right. So somebody asked, can you manually trigger a report? Yes, absolutely. So once you've got your asset trackers in the system, and if you're familiar with the way that the Geotab reporting tool works, whether it's exception reporting, watchdog reporting, or similar reporting, you can have those reports. You can pull them manually, just like you would with any Geotab report. You can schedule them, or you can have them go onto a dashboard inside your Geotab database. So if you're already familiar with how to do that today inside of Geotab, then the asset trackers just fit in very, very nicely. If you're not sure how to do that, reach out to our support team, reach out to your customer success manager, and we'd be happy to show you how to do that. Somebody asked, do you need to get a subscription to have the hardware? Short answer is yes. For all of the asset trackers that we talked about on the call today, there's both a hardware component and then a monthly subscription fee to keep the device actively reporting. Can the devices be used in Canada and the US? No, you can use the devices in both countries. We have a lot of clients who have these asset trackers on equipment that goes into the US and vice versa, and the devices use the cellular network and roam across into those locations. So great question. You can use them in both locations. All right. Yeah, and then the last question I see here, operating temperatures were listed down to -40 degrees Celsius. An environment that goes colder during that parts of the winter, would this unit survive to operate when things warm up? Great question. So I have not field tested the Go Anywhere in temperatures below -40, so I can't answer it from a personal experience. But we have had some of the other equipment on the call today. We actually have had them up in Fort McMurray in northern Canada, and the temperatures have gone very, very cold. So we've seen them operate in very cold weather. It can impact the battery life, but we did watch an asset tracker in particular operate in most of the winter at sub -30, and it continued to operate very well throughout that whole time. So hopefully that answers your question.
Oh, the sound dropped off a bit.
Oh, did
Yep.
did we lose me?
Just a little bit, of sound dropped off, but we'll go to, there was another question that came in that I answered previously. Somebody asked, and it's a good question if you're not familiar with Geotab and the Go devices, is if the Geotab Go Anywhere replaces the OBT Go device unit.
Yeah, the short answer is no. So basically, the Geotab, the Go device that many of you are using today would often connect into an OBD2 or your diagnostic port on your vehicle. The great thing about all of the asset trackers that we show today, they don't have to connect to anything on your vehicle. You simply have to attach them to whatever your asset is, and then they will report. So it doesn't impact your diagnostic port at all, which is great. And again, I've seen these installed with magnets. I've also seen them. I've seen some clients use some two-way tape or the self-tapping screws that come with them.
There's another question.
Oh, okay. 1 second. Let me just dump down the last question. Yeah, so last question, when a battery dies, do you replace it with a new unit or can you replace the battery? So the Go Anywhere, it's a non-replaceable battery, so they would need to be, the unit itself would need to be replaced. The other units, the Flex and the Solar, those units, the Solar and the Philips Connect, the StealthNet, have very long-lasting batteries beyond around 10 years is what we expect. We haven't actually had one of them in operation for 10 years, so we can't say if it's longer than that, but it's at least 10 years. And those after that time, those units would need to be replaced if the battery failed.
And how long should the Go Anywhere last?
Oh, great question. So the Go Anywhere, if you're doing the 1 report per day, the expected battery life is 10 years. So pretty good on the batteries that it has. All right, can you guys hear me? I seem to have technical. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. We seem to be having, my computer's giving me audio problems here today. All right, well, we're almost at time. I did want to wrap with a few other quick items. So again, thank you for all the questions. That was a great list of questions that we had today. When we wrap here today, you will receive a survey that will get sent out to all the participants. So if you could spend a few minutes and provide us your feedback on today's webinar, we'd greatly appreciate that. The webinar, when the recording will be posted on our YouTube page in the coming days, and we will also make sure that gets sent out to all of the participants. And we will be doing the draw for the Yeti tumbler. The Yeti tumblers, we'll have 10 of those to give away. We'll be doing those over the next day or two. If you are a winner of the Yeti tumbler, we'll be reaching out to you directly to confirm that you are a winner and to confirm your address. And if there are any other questions that we didn't get to today, we will be going back through all of the written questions, and we'll be providing written answers as part of our follow-up. And if you didn't get something answered specifically, you can reach out to any member of the NBI team or go to the Northern BI website and follow the contact us, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have. All right, with that, I think we will wrap for today. Again, thank you for your time. Really appreciate it and look forward to we'll have another webinar later in Q4. So stay tuned for that. Thanks very much.